daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. It's the day after the night before. We're here to talk more about maybe kind of what went wrong, but mainly hopefully looking towards the future. These games in the festive period come thick and fast, so there's no point sticking around on a draw. Oh, I reminded myself of it. My name's Kieran. I'm delighted to say I'm joined again by Sam on tonight's episode, or on today's episode when you listen to this, whenever you're listening to this on your favourite streaming platform. Sam, how are you today?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Obviously, yeah, as you said, at the time of the recording, sort of the day after the game, had a bit more time to reflect. Emotions have sort of calmed down a bit now. Yeah, not bad, but still sort of slightly annoyed from yesterday.
Still sore from sort of conceding 4 and kind of throwing it away multiple times. I get that. I feel like I'm ever the sort of trying to find the positives in the play that I sort of was blinded by the big negatives that we came across yesterday. I think just to put a pin on yesterday's game, I think it was a case of, like you said yesterday, Sam, we're so much better offensively, so much better than we were 12 months ago. But let's face it, putting me in the team would have been a huge upgrade on the attack 12 months ago, and I'm badly out of shape. So, what can you say? But I just wanted to sort of point on, look at this from a stats point of view. We've scored 30 goals so far this season, which is on par with Arsenal. And out of the top 4, it's more than Aston Villa. It's more than Chelsea, both of 25 and 27. More than Palace, who are above us. They've scored 20 so far this season. Liverpool have scored fewer as well. But again, they've had their own sort of offensive and goal scoring, I would say, issues, but definitely they should be doing a little bit better than they are. And, we're one of the top goal scorers in the league. There's only a handful of teams that have scored more. Manchester City, shock horror, have scored 38. But I think we're the second highest goal scorers in the league. No, we're not, because Chelsea, Chelsea 27. So yeah, we're the joint second highest goal scorers in the league so far this season, 30 goals. Where it falls apart is that we've conceded 26. Now, no one above us has conceded more than that. And you have to scroll all the way down to yesterday's competitors in 13th in Bournemouth to find a team that's conceded more on 28. Then you have Leeds, West Ham, Burnley and Wolves who have conceded the same or more goals. And the common theme for them is they're in the bottom 4 places. So when it comes down to it, it kind of feels like the progression from last season is we're conceding silly goals still. But I think that the attack and that mantra of, we'll score one more than you has saved us more points than maybe we're comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, like I said yesterday, and look, I may have, calmed down a bit and had more time to reflect, but the point still stands where we're very good going forward. And look, on reflection from yesterday's game, of course, there's positives to take from it. I mean, yeah, that first half was one of the best first halves I've seen United play all season. And, going forward, we looked bright, we looked energetic, we looked like we had a bit of intent in our play. There was less sideways, backwards passing. We created a hell of a lot of chances. And I mean, fortunately, we did go into halftime leading, but it was deservedly so. And I think, we created a hell of a lot of chances that first half. And as I said, we deserved to go into the break 2-1 up. However, and this is, this is going to be our downfall, I believe, throughout the whole season, where it's our defence. Our defence just cannot withstand any pressure. I mean, literally, Bournemouth's 2 first shots on target in the second half were 2 goals. And that's just not on, and that just can't happen. And you even I just don't think it's a defence's issue. I think, there's fundamental players in there that I just don't think are good enough to play for United. But I also think the system doesn't help them either. I think, Tavernier's free kick, the one that he scored off, came through gaps in the midfield. They were running out of defence, and Casemiro had to take the yellow card and had to give up the free kick in a dangerous area. I think if you play another system, teams don't sort of break through your midfield so easily that so many times yesterday, Bournemouth, were 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 or 1-on-1, and that just can't happen. And that just can't happen. And the thing is, I say, yeah, it's a defences issue, but it's also a midfield. They're not getting any help from the midfield. Although, Casemiro is trying to hold the fort down all by himself, but he can't, and that's a real issue. So, there's gaps in the midfield, and then as I revert back to my original point of you've got fundamental players in that back five that just either aren't good enough or they're out of position. It just makes no sense to me. I mean, I've been saying it for the past couple of weeks, and I'll say it again. You've got a natural right back playing at left wing back. You've got a natural left back playing at centre back. You've got a kid at Aiden Heaven playing at the back who's struggled for game time because of injuries. And then you've got Yoro, who's only, a 19, 20-year-old kid as well. And then you've got Ahmad, who just isn't a right wing back. So that whole back five is just it shouldn't... That combination of players, the players in the wrong positions, I mean, it's just fundamentally wrong. And I don't get how Almiron can set up with that defence thinking we're going to be okay. I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it. And look, maybe the logic of bringing Casemiro in and playing him there, maybe that is Almiron, being somewhat aware that he doesn't have his full defence back there. And let's be fair, he doesn't. Martinez was on the bench, De Ligt was out as well. But do I think a defence of Yoro, Martinez and De Ligt is a massive upgrade on what we had last night? I don't, to be honest. I
wouldn't say massive. It's an upgrade.
No, of course, it's an upgrade, of course. And look, we might not have shipped 4 goals to Bournemouth at home with De Ligt and Martinez in there, but I still wouldn't be confident that we wouldn't ship any goals. I still think I've seen enough evidence now of De Ligt and Martinez and, Yoro to be like, okay, you're decent players. Like I've been saying this whole season, they're not bad defenders, they're decent defenders, but we're still going to concede goals. And look, you can bring in De Ligt, and I'm not saying, we would have conceded 4 to Bournemouth, but I still think we would have conceded 1 or 2. And I just think we need... I've been saying it all season. I'll say it again. I feel like I'm repeating myself every week, but we just need that one leader at the back, which I think we're fundamentally missing. I think to be a successful team, to win trophies, to compete, you need a leader at the back. And look, De Ligt brings that bit of experience, brings that bit of leadership. But I think as a player, he's not at the level that we need our centre-backs to be at for where we want to go as a club. Look, as I said, they're all decent defenders, but I think in the long term, I'd be very surprised if we're challenging for serious trophies with those 3 at the back, to be honest.
I do see Martinez being a leader. I think there's a massive leader in that dressing room who, I'm going to say his name, and we're both going to say he wouldn't be good enough to start for United. He wouldn't be good enough to if we get back to Europe, he'd be starting. As a leader, though, and creating so many magical moments, not by his defending, but by his goals, Harry Maguire. He is a leader, and there's no two ways about it, but he's more of that squad player now where you bring him in. I mean, sometimes he's used as a target forward, for goodness sake, to lump balls up top for him to head it down. I mean, it worked against in the semi-final, but the point is that, it does feel like, there would be an upgrade. I see De Ligt as a Champions League defender, but not to win it. He'd be good in that sort of group stage era, round of 16 to get you through there. But is he, the elite defender that we need to get to the semi-final, the final, and eventually over the line to win it? Maybe not. Is Martinez? I think it's hard to say, because seeing Martinez over the last couple of games, it's great to see him back on the pitch, but you can tell that he's not match fit. He's not match sharp. I miss the Butcher. of a month ago, of a year ago, year and a half ago, because we've really missed him in that defence. So I hope he gets back up to speed soon. And if it takes the sort of festive period to get him back up to proper speed, then hopefully that's the case. But there's going to be a couple of talking points we're going to come across, one being major and one being very major for Sam. We'll come back after this.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
So, a great tournament is coming up very, very shortly. In fact, for two players in the Manchester United side, they're pretty much on the plane, ready to go to the competition itself. And that is AFCON. We love AFCON. Unfortunately, though, Sam, it's going to take away our top goal scorer in the league, and Bryan Mbeumo, and everybody's favourite player in United, Ahmad. How big of a gulf is there going to be up top, because of those two going to AFCON?
Yeah, I mean, AFCON's basically going to wipe out our whole right-hand side. I mean, that has been, pretty much our starting right-hand side the season, with Mbeumo off the right and Ahmad at that right wing-back position. I expect Dalot might slip into his more natural right back, right wing-back position. And then it'll be interesting to see how the front three interchange while Mbeumo's away. But yeah, I mean, it is massive. It really is. I mean, Mbeumo's been really effective and really, looked like a Manchester United player, him and Cunha, to be honest, since they've come in. So he's a big loss going forward. And then Ahmad, look, we know what Ahmad can do. I mean, he's just brilliant. I mean, he just gives you so much energy and so much intent every time he gets the ball, so much excitement. And I think, look, when he's on form and he's really cooking like he was yesterday, to be honest, I mean, he's unstoppable. I mean, some of the runs he went on yesterday were actually unbelievable. So I think, look, it's a big loss. It's only two players. We should be able to cope. This will also give opportunities to other players, potentially. Sesko in particular, I'm now looking at eagerly, because I think, look, this is a big chance for Sesko. I think with Mbeumo away, I think Sesko, he's guaranteed to start pretty much every game. You would think. So for me, it's almost like now's the time for Sesko. Look, we've been patient, and we still are being patient with him. But if he can't sort of, really get involved in games and not seem like games are sort of just passing him by. And at the minute, it's been sort of Cunha and Mbeumo, and then Sesko sort of doing his own thing. Whereas Sesko now, he needs to get involved. He needs to start contributing significantly. Look, I'm not even asking him to put up 20, 25 goals. I'm just asking, 13, 14, 15, a solid first season. Because if he doesn't do that, it almost begs the question of why did we get rid of Højlund when we've brought in someone putting up the same numbers as him. So look, there'll be pressure, there'll be attention on Sesko in particular. But going back to your original question, yeah, it's a pretty significant loss, but we should be able to handle it.
I mean, it was pretty significant because Amram actually underwent a formation change, during the match. And I think this is his kind of, what would you say, this sort of underlying message that things are going to have to change, and he might have to sacrifice that sort of 3 at the back, 5 at the back system to be able to bring in players more naturally positioned. And we talked about it as we were sort of in that cool down after we recorded yesterday's episode. And you mentioned a certain player to go in a position that I just think, is that going to work? It's one Bruno Fernandes. Do you remember?
Yeah, and I would like to see it tried again. To be honest, because I remember last season, I believe it was, where Bruno was playing on that right sort of forward position, and I actually preferred him in that right hand channel than the number 8. I think, look, naturally we've brought in Mbeumo, so Bruno has naturally had to drop, and we've sort of had to just accept that this is Bruno's position now, this number 8 position as one of the 2 centre mids. And to be honest, he still does a very, very solid job. I think he actually does a better job in this position now than he did last season, just purely because I think he has better options attacking wise, so he can feed the balls through, and there's going to be some end product to his hard work, which I think last season that wasn't. But, with Mbeumo away, I actually wouldn't mind, seeing Bruno in that right-hand channel again. And then maybe a certain, Kobbie Mainoo can finally maybe get some game time.
There he is. I actually had this as my next topic. We saw Kobbie's half-brother wear the shirt, free Kobbie Mainoo. I know your feelings on it, Sam, and my feelings are that, give the kid a chance, but this could be his greatest chance yet, because if he doesn't get this chance, if he's not given this chance, he's going to push for a loan in January, and that's just going to open a whole can of worms.
I think, look, I don't like the way Almiron's handled the Maynou situation. I think to treat a player who's done so much for us in the past couple of years, he's been one of our greatest academy sort of graduates in recent years. I can only think of maybe Marcus Rashford, who has, gone on to reach the heights of Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, for God's sake, he was one of our best players in the Euros for England a couple of seasons ago. And I don't think Almiron's handled it well. I don't think he's talked about the academy well recently either. I just think sometimes Almiron, look, he's a really nice guy and he's a really honest guy, but sometimes he's a bit too honest. And sometimes you think, was that needed? Did you have to say that? It's almost, I
remember a press conference where he did say, he lets his emotions get the better of him, which is like, why would you say that, Ruben?
I get emotions getting to him. I just think sometimes he doesn't really think before he speaks. I think people ask him a question, he answers it honestly, but then by him answering it honestly, it opens up another can of worms, which was just a bit unnecessary.
But then we do like managers that just sort of, they might have had media training and have just gone, nah, I don't need that. Yeah. Nah, not a chance, not me.
I like that, but when you're speaking negatively about your own club, that's when it gets a bit weird. You're like, why are you doing this when you're already under massive amounts of pressure? So again, and this seems to be a run. Look, we'll get onto Maynou. I know it's about him, not Almiron, but this does also seem to be a running theme under Almiron, where he doesn't help himself in the systems he plays and the things he says. It's almost like, bro, like we're trying to back you here, but you're not helping yourself. So how can anyone else help you in a way? But yeah, I mean, look, going back to Maynou, look, I don't think he's handled the situation well, Almiron. I don't think Maynou should be getting the treatment he deserves right now. I definitely think he should be getting more minutes. Credit to Almiron, he did change his formation. He did bring Maynou on. And then I guess away from the pitch, I mean, what his brother did, I mean, again, is there any need? It's just a bit of a joke, in it, really. Like, look, don't get me wrong. I assume Kobbie would have known about it. I mean, any decent brother... I'm not being funny. Any decent brother tells their brother that they're going to do that before a game. I'd be very surprised if he didn't mention it to Kobbie. Look, mate, I'm going to do this thing. Are you okay with it? But it's just a bit of a joke, isn't it? Like, what are you trying to? What's that going to fix? You know what?
It got half an hour against Bournemouth. It worked. No, I'm kidding.
It's a joke. You really think Almiron's going to just change because you brought a team? Like, if anything, you're making the situation worse and like worse than it already is. Like, by doing that, honestly, it's embarrassing. Like, mate, like really.
Well,
Like,
I'll ask you a question though, Sam, more towards Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously, AFCON, has got rid of two of our best players, best attacking players. And if there is that formation change, where do you want Maynou to play? Deeper or sort of more further up the pitch attacking wise?
Yeah, and look, this is a dilemma. And the thing is, I say all this about I don't think Almiron's handled the situation completely right and all of this. However, I do think it's a hard dilemma that Almiron's in. But I think, once again, he's put himself in this, like, rock in a hard place, in this dilemma, by playing the formation he's playing. Look, Kobbie can't play next to Casemiro, and Kobbie also can't play next to Bruno in that formation. However, as you've alluded to, if you start to tweak your formation and, he went to a 4-2-4 yesterday. I mean, I still don't like that formation. And if he does play that 4-2-4, again, it begs the question of, again, where does Kobbie play? Because I don't think Kobbie can play in a midfield too. I mean, it's proven from the formation Almiron's playing now he can't. So if Almiron persists with that 4-2-4 that he adapted to yesterday, I still think you're going to struggle to get Maynou in the squad. I mean, the only way you'd get Maynou into the squad is, of course, we alluded to it before, where you push Bruno to the right, that frees up a slot in the middle. But then, even then, I think Almiron might favour Garce, to be honest, next to a Casemiro, or drop Bruno back next to Casemiro and play, I don't know, off the right, maybe Cunha off the right, Sesko, Zerchi, Mount off the left. I unless there's a 3 in midfield and Almiron changes formation quite drastically, because as I said yesterday, I still think 4-2-4 is pretty similar to the 5-2-3 he's playing, because all you've got to do is, if you've got Luke Shaw playing left back and you've got that 4 at the back, you push Luke Shaw across, you bring the left winger, whoever's playing left winger, off for a more natural left wing back, like a Dorgu. And then if you're playing, I don't know, Dalot or whoever on the right, you just drop them deeper. And, well, they don't really need to be a right wing back. You just effectively, out of possession, you play that 4 at the back. But so that's why I don't think it's too dissimilar to that 5 at the back. And I think Almiron knows that. And I think he knows that if he wants to, mid-game, if he is playing that 4-2-4, he can revert back to his trusty 5-2-3. And I think he's smart enough to know that. But going back to where Maynou fits in, I don't know. I honestly don't know, unless you're playing, a completely different formation. Saying that, if Maynou... This is the thing about Almiron. I may have my opinions on whether I think he should be in the job. Other people think he might be. Who knows? And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. There's one thing that I can categorically say sitting here that will turn every Manchester United fan against Ruben Almiron, and that is if Kobbie Mainoo leaves in the summer. If Kobbie Mainoo departs Manchester United in the summer, everyone in my opinion, should be turning on Ruben Almiron, because Ruben Almiron, if that happens, has made Kobbie Mainoo, one of our best graduate players in years, so unhappy, and he can't get into the squad, so he's made him so unhappy, he's had to leave. And if you're doing that as a manager, coming in and basically forcing one of your best academy graduate players out the door, you've got answers to you've got questions to answer for, basically.
I think as well the pressure is on Kobbie Mainoo, because if he is given this chance, and I think he will be, he has to take them with both hands and maybe even grow two more to grab a hold of it. If he is not putting in those good performances, if he's not, driving forward in that midfield, if he's not, contributing to attacks, maybe not even goals and assists, but progressive passes, playing well at facilitating play out of the midfield, then that just backs into Ruben Amorim's corner. So if you're Kobbie Mainoo, the last thing you can afford to do in the run-up to Christmas, in the run-up to this festive period, is have bad games.
And
it cannot happen for
Kieran, the run-up to the World Cup as well in the summer. I'm sure Kobbie Mainoo will have eyes on going out to the US for the World Cup. I don't think he will, just purely off the game time he's had. But again, I go back to the Euros, the last Euros. I mean, as soon as Gareth Southgate realised Trent in midfield wasn't the one and he brought in Kobbie Mainoo, it completely transformed our squad. It completely gave us so much more control in that midfield. And he was literally one of our best players. And that's not even me being biased to United. I feel like if you ask many England fans, many of them would say Kobbie Mainoo was one of our best players at that tournament. So that's the influence he can have. And to be honest, it's an absolute travesty that he can't get into Ruben Amorim's United squad. And the reason is, I go back to it, is because of the system and the formation we're playing. But to have a player of his quality on the bench, and so much so, and so unhappy that he's considering leaving, I mean, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And look, I have my, doubts about Amorim for a number of different reasons. But one of those reasons is also Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, in my opinion, if a manager is effectively forcing one of your best players, one of your standout players in recent years, your academy graduate, out the door, he has to go. He has to go. And also, not just one, by the way, it cannot happen that we let another academy graduate player leave the door. It just cannot happen. I mean, I'll put it simply. If Amorim comes in, completely changes the way we play, completely changes the formation, and sells one of our best academy graduate player, he is basically taken the values and the identity of our club and threw them in the bin. Completely threw them in the bin. And I don't want someone like that running my football club. And look, it's not about Amorim, and I don't, it's just the way he handles situations, the way, it's just, look, and I actually, somewhat agree with him when he says Maynoo's had opportunities. I think Maynoo's had some opportunities, and I get, to be honest, I don't think Maynou has played unbelievably well when he's played. I thought last night when he came on, he didn't do great, but you've got to give him more of a chance. You have to. You can't judge a player off bringing him on 15 minutes till the end every game. That can't be good for a player. So yeah, I mean, I don't envy Ruben Amorim. It's a tricky dilemma to fix, but it's one of them where he made his bed, so he has to lay in it. I mean, he created his own problems, and the only way to fix it, mate, is to change your system. And is that going to happen? I don't think so.
We saw a formation change. Perhaps the sun is rising. Who knows? Maybe it's setting. But who knows? There's only one way to find out, though.
Yeah, the thing is, Kieran, I want to make one more point in the fact that, do you think, and I'm just posing the question to you, I just thought of it now, the fact that, say if he changes his formation against Villa, and then he changes his formation, I don't know, against Newcastle, and we win both games, do you think that might make something click in Ruben Amorim's head? Or do you think he's so stubborn that he will be in the mindset of, look, I'm changing my formation now while the players are away at AFCON, but as soon as they come back, I'm going back to my old formation?
I think it'll be a bit of both. I think if he changes his formation and we get 2 wins, on the bounce, and hopefully, against Wolves, if it's a case of a change of system again, a change of formation, yeah, he might have a light bulb and say, actually, maybe, five at the back isn't working. Perhaps we should just go back to a four at the back. United is not a club that's synonymous with 3 or 5 at the back. Sort of Louis van Gaal era sort of taught us that maybe 5 at the back isn't the way this United side should play. But I don't necessarily I think that they can't play that way. I think we've had an okay start to the season. It's been a heck of a lot of fun to watch United go forward. I'll tell you that much. I haven't watched United going forward, in years and been like, wow, I am loving this. Like, we're creating chances. We are creating so many chances. The bit where it falls back on is that, world-class defence. And we don't have a world-class defence. So I just think, we spent $250,000 in the summer and none of it was on defenders, really. So I feel like that's where we need to focus. And if we can strengthen in defence, I think midfield is also one to look at, but maybe not high priority. But defence, definitely. Wing backs, definitely. We need reinforcements for Dorgu because I've missed him on the wing. I love watching him play. Is he world class? Is he the greatest left wing back? No, he's got the potential to be a great player, and I love watching him play. He's one that wears his heart on his sleeve, so I'm very happy to sort of watch him play. These feel like players that 12 months ago, we went a goal down and they went, oh, well, never mind. At least with Bournemouth, there were 2 quick goals. Yeah, we were shell-shocked. You could tell the players were shell-shocked. They got back into the game, and multiple times this season, this side has got back into games. So going forward, I've loved watching them because it feels like we will score in every match. It really does. But what's also a guarantee is we'll probably concede in that match at some point. We'll probably give up a 1-0 lead at some point in this match. So I am having fun watching it go forward. I'm not having fun when the other team attacks. Yeah. Any team attacks, we're in trouble.
I actually think, Kieran, look, I know we're focused on defence this episode and centre-backs, but I actually think people are not realising the enormity and the importance of that number 6 role. I mean, if you look at, I think I mentioned it before on a previous episode, but if you look at all the top successful clubs right now in the world, they all have a world-class number 6. You've got Rodri at Man City, you've got Rice, you've got Caicedo, you've even got Gravenberch at Liverpool, who was excellent last season. So we need that. We just need that. And I think to be successful, you have to have that number 6 in the modern game, because I think the transitions are so quick and teams break so quick, like Bournemouth yesterday, that if you don't have a number 6 who just, is like the sweeper and covers everything and is that blocker in front of the defence, your defence is so exposed. And we keep seeing that. And I'd be very surprised if we don't go back in for Carlos Baleba, to be honest. I think, look, there were rumblings in the final few days of the summer transfer window that we were going in for him. I think the only reason that didn't materialise is because I just think it was too late on in the transfer window. However, I think potentially even in January, if Brighton are willing to let him go, which I probably don't think they will be, but definitely in the summer, I think we'll go back in for him. And then, yeah, look, he will fix some of the problems, I think, but I also think, we've got, I know you like Dorgu, and I don't actually have any problems with Dorgu. Do I think he's a long-term starter? I just don't. I think he's shown me enough evidence to think, look, you're a decent player, but I think you're more of a squad player. I think our centre-backs, look, I think you can play 2 out of the 3 centre-backs. You can play De Ligt and Martinez next to a world-class centre-back, a leader. But or you could play Martinez and Heaven, or Martinez and Yoro, or De Ligt and Yoro, or you can do whatever combination you want with 2 of them. But I just don't think you can play all 3. And then obviously right back, we've touched on where that's a glaring issue as well. I mean, we just don't. We have Mazraoui, who's, very, very kind of okay, Mr. Consistent.
He's a versatile player, isn't he? He can play anywhere in that back.
Yeah, I mean, he's Mr. Consistent. He's a 6, 7 out of 10 every game pretty much, and that's not a bad thing. But again, are you good enough to start long term? Probably not. Ahmad's not a right wing back, so look, we've got issues all over that back 5, in my opinion, as well. hopefully and fortunately, the only position in that in that defence is the goalkeeper that hopefully is fixed now. Fingers crossed. I don't want to speak too soon, but he seems pretty solid for now.
Yeah, for now. We'll see. Well, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We're going to wrap that up here, and you let us know. Is it fun to watch United attack? Is it horrifying to watch them defend? Have either of us struck a chord with you? Let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. Start a conversation down in those comments below. If you're listening to us on Apple or on Spotify, make sure you like and rate the podcast. I think we're worth 5 stars, but I might be a bit biased. But anyway, make sure you subscribe and follow on either platform so you get push notifications whenever a new episode goes live. And if you're listening to the podcast and you want to watch us, don't forget you can watch us on YouTube as well. The YouTube channel is Daily Man United Podcast, GSPN Daily Man United Podcast. See, it's such a long name, so you have to remember it. Make sure you do subscribe there, and you can see Sam waving right about now. There you go. There you see, you're missing out if you're listening only. Make sure you go over there and watch. And don't forget as well, you can follow us on all the social media. It's at GSPN Man United. We're on Twitter and X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on TikTok. So you can follow us along for all the clips and reactionaries. It's going to be mainly Sam. It's always mainly Sam. It's okay. Don't worry about it. He drives a good conversation. That's why. And don't forget as well, none of this is possible without our partners at Zencastr, because here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we've spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out on top. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that can remove those ums and ahs and any swear words that Sam decides to drop, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He didn't actually say any this episode, so that's fine. We don't have to worry about that. But if we did, Zencastr would be the perfect platform for that. So make sure you go ahead to the show description to learn more about Zencastr if that really sounds like something you want to do with your stories and podcasts. In the meantime, it's goodbye from me, Kieran. It's goodbye from him, Sam. We'll talk to you soon on the next episode of the Daily Manchester United. Until then, chat soon. We'll speak soon. Bye-bye.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.